Are we on? Why do you have to do that? We gotta bust his balls.
Never mind.
That's why he doesn't want to be on camera.
What's that?
That's why he doesn't want to be on camera.
Because he knows he'll be melodramatic.
Yeah. Some Shatner pauses. Are we on yet? Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dusty
It's our last
Auspex.
show.
That was, of course, producer Josh. The very heartfelt goodbye for the two of us, where he just had enough about the burping, I think.
Yeah.
And, my burping and my farting. And you know what? I got to give him props for being so patient. You know, he works in actual television where they don't burp and fart all the time. And I got to say, he's been very lenient. You know, he's come to accept it. He's brought it into his own home at one point when we were doing this in his apartment. And shout out to my feet, I guess, too.
Yeah. Shout
for all
out
the hard
to
work they
Dan's
do.
feet. And thanks for all the thanks.
Also,
Producer
thank
Josh.
you, Josh.
Thanks for all the producing, producer Josh.
And
Good
also
job.
running this at your apartment before. It was very nice, you know, back in the early days. Without further ado, this is our final show. Yeah, we've got lots of cool stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We were playing in the 40 Below Expo
Yep.
on the weekend. And I did very poorly with my partner, Martin. I'm not sure how you ended up doing. I had
Very
to leave
poorly.
early. Yeah,
That's
there
okay.
we go. That's okay. That's okay. And then also, Necrons and Tau had a thing happen. I'm not sure what it was.
Necrons and Tau. Yeah.
And then Drukhari, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, they're
something I
dropping.
know.
Yeah.
Lots of rumors
It's
coming
exciting
out.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm legit excited about the Drukhari stuff. But anywho, so basically, the 40 Below Expo was a big success. Tons of people came out here to PvP Cyber Lounge. And place was bumping on a Sunday. Normally they open at 3, but it was packed to the tits right from the beginning.
Yep.
We had Infinity. We had 40K doubles.
Yep.
We had Infinity.
And we had 40K
We
doubles.
had 40K doubles. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And actually it went great.
Yeah.
homeboy Sid ended up taking it for the Infinity Tournament. As far as 40K goes, apparently I don't know as much as I thought I did. I got whipped by the RPC crew showing of Derek and John.
Yeah.
They had Slanesh paired with Nurgle Demons, and that was a strong list. I don't know how those guys ended up doing.
Yeah, it's a really tough list. I think they went 2-1.
Okay.
Sure.
I wonder who they played last.
I don't know.
I'd be curious to know if you guys are watching. Let us know in the chat.
They
lost
to Kyle and Brendan.
Kyle and Brendan. Bunch of narcs.
There you go.
Yeah. That's too bad, guys. I thought you were going to do it. I thought they were the ones that were going to win. Who ended up winning, actually? I had to leave early, so I didn't see who placed on anything. So Kyle and Brendan won. What other awards were handed out? So we had Best General, I'm assuming, went to Kyle Brendan. Derek and John won
Derek and John got Sportsman. All right,
there you go. It might be something to do with a bag of jelly beans that a certain bearded man brings to every game.
He hands out jelly beans.
Yeah. Smart tactic.
I'll say for Jonathan, there was I played against him, and he surrounded my Storm Raven with cultists and blew it up, and I couldn't deploy, so I lost everything. I lost a whole death company that was on board, and he bought me a beer afterwards. So it was pretty nice of him. I was a little salty.
Actually, you know, we may as well run through the games. We got an hour, so like the first game that we played, Martin and I, was against John and Derek, and basically what happened was it was too many relics. So the center had value for the end of the game. There's also a relic on top of it, and then there were 2 additional relics on the table. We managed to grab one with scouts and get it out of there before Demon Prince swooped in and killed it. I managed to kill that Demon Prince. Whoop, whoop. But they had 30 Plague Bearers on 32 mil bases on top of this building with Nurglings. There was literally no way to assault it because there wasn't even room on the building to put another model. So that was one of like the strongest plays that I've dealt with, is teleporting 30 Plague Bearers onto a building that had an objective that you could only shoot, and they were -2 to hit most of the time. So
what were they? What were you trying to assault them with?
Jump pack range. Like, well, I even had a bloat drone, but there wasn't an inch left on the piece of terrain.
Couldn't you do wobbly model? Say I'm at the edge of you, wobbly model.
Can't even place it. Like he would be hovering.
There was not even a little tiny piece of...
Well, there was like, you know, like a 1/4 inch on the edge there, but I don't think you can place a model within a 1/4 inch.
I don't think you can stop people from assaulting you.
Well, that's how we ran it. Hopefully that's not the case, but, you know, for the most part, it was pretty much like...
Was it a building that you were... Like it was a building you couldn't get inside?
Yes.
So it was an impassable building? Yeah, I think that's why the ITC do buildings you can go in the buildings so that you can assault a level above you. Say, okay, I'm on the 2nd floor, I'm assaulting above me, that's within an inch.
Interesting. Maybe, you know,
so I think
we can figure that out for the future. Yeah, definitely. And then Martin was playing his Death Company, but because these 2 guys are very experienced players, they screened the piss out of everything. And by turn 3, we had to bring the Death Company down, and we're just like, fuck my life, I guess. You know, like there's basically nothing left to do. Yeah. So we let that one go. Early, the 4 of us went to Smitty's after to get breakfast.
Perfect.
Smitty's took an hour and change for me to get bacon and eggs. Side bacon and eggs.
What's funny is I saw you guys walking back across. I'd gone and gotten groceries, and I had like 10 minutes left, so I ran through the Burger King, and while I'm in line, I see you guys, you 4, walking across, and I honked. I was excited. I was like, I know those guys. And the guy in front of me is like, what the fuck?
Really?
Because he thought I was honking at him, right? I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just an idiot. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, believe me, I'm sure if you just got out of the car, you'd be like, I'm sorry.
I try not to do stuff
I'm just a stressed out dad.
Yeah. Just come out with my dad.
Please don't punch me in the mouth. We're getting a phone call. And then game 2. We played against Mark Lund and Homer Domer. Shout out to Homer. I know he's in the chat right now. And shout out to Mark if he is too. That was a tough one for us as well. Homer he was coming at the list building perspective similar to how I was. He was farming CP for his ally, who was Mark.
Yep.
And I was farming them for Martin.
Yep.
So, like, Homer and I weren't really ripping through the CP. However, Martin didn't either because same thing pretty much happened. We ended up waiting a long time for the Death Company to come down because there was just nowhere to put it because Mark and Homer ended up screening their stuff for the most part. We managed to kill 2 Lehman Russes and then put a dent in another one, but that really was about the extent of it.
the thing is, Blood Angels are doing well, and Blood Angels are winning, but the people that are winning with Blood Angels have played 50 games with them.
Yeah.
We have theory, and we've played 5 games with our armies.
Yeah.
The problem with all of us that are running them is we need to play more games.
Well,
And that's,
you know what?
that's a trick with 40K.
It also depends on who you're playing against. Like, if you go to a tournament and pretty well everyone is running screening units, you're going to have a tough time hitting the units that you really need to without losing a bunch of Death Company first.
But you need to mitigate for that and understand it, so you clear screens, right?
Well, that's what was great with me teaming up with Fabio and Brandon, is he would teleport his Necrons, pump out on a screen, next turn I'd drop in and then roll out.
Exactly.
This one was harder because like I was playing Death Guard and I just had float drones and
Death Guard live, and they stay.
They just kind of chill.
And they don't die, but they're not great at wiping stuff out. So you want stuff like your assault cannons. You want scout bikes. And give the sergeant a storm bolter. That's like 20 shots, man.
And you know
like
what? I had the bloat drones with the flamers, which would have been great if we were only playing against stuff that had a save. But against like the Death Guard stuff that Derek had, it all had feel no pains.
Yep.
Against the Death Guard stuff that Homer had, it had feel no pains. Yep. Even if we'd clear out a screen of Homer's cultists,
he'd just bring them back.
he had cultists like behind them, and they would just move up. And I'm like, damn it, like it was so hard to score points against Mark and Homer just because of the way that they presented their army, and it was fantastic. Like their whole corner was cordoned off in the backside. Plus, they just had this wall of cultists and Nurglings.
Yeah.
So, we got distracted. We ended up having a Nurgling on Nurgling fight that lasted like 4 turns, and nothing really happened. You know what I mean? Like they're like, save, feel no pain. Okay, attack you on 4s. Save, feel no pain. You're like, great, we're doing 1 wound a turn here.
Yeah.
On 4 wound bases.
Yeah, it takes experience to come into, like, I remember we were doing hand flamers on all our Death Company.
Yes.
It's an extra point, and it's useless because it's
really
strength 3.
Yeah.
So, and I had 5 with them. I did a Sally Forth with them. I used my flame pistols on Nurglings. Didn't really do much damage with them at all, and thought, why am I paying an extra point for something that a bolter will do a better job of?
Yes, and I still have to rip off all the fucking bolt pistols on my Death Company and put
switch
bolters
them.
on them.
Yesterday I was switching to bolters.
You should.
And
It's fantastic, and honestly, like the Inferno pistol, even I think that's way overrated. Now that we're like looking back,
I wouldn't use Inferno
you know
pistols.
what? Like some guys are like, I'm putting 9 of them on my Death Company.
This is not the Melta edition. A Melta edition was 7th. Or 6th, maybe. This is the Plasma
Melta's
edition.
real strength was in Deep Strike, and it's gone now.
Yep, exactly.
Like,
you can't get something within range to get that 2d6 pick the highest, so it sucks.
Yeah.
Melta is good on Harlequins because they come up and they flip over you and then they nuke vehicles and stuff, right?
Also, Melta's strength in 7th used to be that it was such a high-powered gun, it would always wound you on a 2.
Right.
And now, you're mostly wounding vehicles on 3s.
Right.
So you're hitting on 3, wounding on 3,
and I still don't like variable
damage.
I still don't like D6 for damage.
I'll take D6 over D3, but I agree with you. Yeah. You're
it's
not
like when it just
anymore.
seems like every time it's critical, you roll a 1 or a 2, right?
Yeah.
So.
And then you spend a CP and get that.
And then you get a 1 again. Yeah. It's that 1 in 36 chance. It seems like so
that
much more
happened to Martin and I a lot on the weekend.
It happened to me on the weekend. Yeah. Our first game was really close. We played against 2 new players to the scene, which was Brendan and Trevor, I think their names were. A guy with a very good-looking white beard and a thin fella. And our game was extremely close. We used the same thing, scouts. We pulled back 2 relics. They jumped on a relic with Tau, Index Tau, and they did fairly well with it. I charged a commander with Mephiston, and he Overwatch killed me.
You know what's funny is Fancy Molasses says, take it in, boys, 40k meta builders right here. I've only ever owned 4 armies, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but I've only ever had Orcs, Blood Angels, Death Guard, and Dark Eldar.
I have like 9 armies, so he's probably talking about me.
I'd like to talk about what's effective.
Who is this guy?
Fancy Molasses, I'm not sure. I don't know who that is. Either way, There's a lot of flack that people get for chasing the meta. You know, power to you if you can. It costs a lot of money. However,
I like to fall in behind the meta. Like once Astra got less popular,
let
then
people
I grabbed
spend
it.
their money.
Yeah.
And then
you buy the
figure
good
it out.
stuff, and I'll buy your leavings.
Exactly. And you know what? That's one thing I don't understand. Like, sure, narrative play is fun and stuff, but I don't get the guys who cry that they want people to play with stuff that they don't like. You know what I mean? Just for the sake of it. Well, why do you change the gun on your model after you build it? Like, because the gun's not that good anymore. You know, like, I'm not a crazy person here. I think a lot of people play games and use the tools that they like in those games. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think that makes you a bad person.
I think when you nobody likes losing. So when you find something that's not working that well, you switch it. Right?
Yeah,
like I tried that and that's not working. So I'm gonna keep it that way because it's shitty. Because what, I like losing? No, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Speaking of armies I own, Dark Eldar previews are coming out.
Hey!
Which is exciting. I love Dark Eldar. What did he say? Did he respond? I saw that he responded. Let's see what it says. Can we go to the Twitch stream?
No, I respond.
Oh, okay.
This will take an hour for Army Cat.
Yeah, so anyway, Dark Eldar previews, really enjoying seeing what's coming out for them. This is an army that historically has been given no flavor love at all. You know,
they've had a rough go.
The Coven's book came out. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I gave it a little bit of taste, but in 7th edition, 7th edition was crazy. 7th edition was not an edition that I enjoyed because, for fancy molasses, I didn't chase the meta, and I got smoked constantly. I played Orcs at Plains of War in 7th edition. I went 2 and 3, which is better than I thought I would do. But yeah, this is Dark Eldar and Orcs are classically armies that in the last 4 editions,
first 2 codexes of 7th.
Yeah.
So let's hope. I really hope. I want to see Dark Eldar. I want to see people scared of Dark Eldar. I want people to say like, "Oh fuck, that guy brought Dark Eldar. That sucks." And actually, that's what beat Jonathan and Derek was. Yeah. They were playing as Dark Eldar, which got Jonathan very excited.
In their chests. I mean, quite frankly, Dark Eldar have a lot of strength. Honest to God, like Dark Lances are fantastic weapons. Sorry, I'm just trying to see these responses. Squint more at me, please. You get the chance to play the game, and you don't always want to play other guys' game. Well, I think it's safe to say Fancy Molasses is a pain in the ass. Aside from that, back to Dark Eldar. So the previews we've been seeing are for like Witch Cult, for Coven style stuff, and then also a bit on like the kin side of things. Like the things that I'm really liking. So today the Witch previews came out, and the +1 strength I think is huge for them. So witches in general, they talk them up huge in like the 8th edition previews.
They get a +1 strength?
Yeah, well, if you take this specific faction of them. So all the units in that army that have that specific like keyword, I guess, get +1 strength. So that means you can actually go toe-to-toe with a Dreadnought with a crew of witches and wound it on 5s, which is actually a pretty big difference. Like, I remember putting 30 Orc Boys into OV's Leviathan Dreadnought and didn't even really do anything. Because I'm like, wound it once, 2+ save. Well, fuck me then, I guess. You know, like honest to God.
It's not as bad as the 2+ rerollable of 7th, but it's still, there's some tough units out there, man. Like, anything can wound anything, but they can also save really well, right?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, you want those modifiers. Yeah. Yeah, man. So that's exciting. Jonathan
too. There's like
posted
+1 attack. And
someone was posting a picture of a Archon with like a skin ripped cloak or whatever. It looked pretty cool.
Oh, with the tentacles? Yeah, that was...
It was a kit bash.
I think it's a conversion,
yeah. But
I think that's someone's... I think it was a
kit
homunculus.
bashes. Yeah, homunculus. Yeah,
supposed to be a homunculus. Yeah, stuff
more
like that
the
is...
better.
Like, I've seen some really incredible Dark Eldar armies come out on things like Daka,
Yep.
where guys are just putting like a shitload of time into these things, and
Looks good.
it's one of those armies that...
Checking your email or what?
No, just opening up the streams.
Oh.
But basically, I like the idea behind armies that have that lore, where they're like from a dark, scary place where like weird, transformations.
Yeah, I like
happen.
evil shit, man.
Yeah,
evil
they can
shit's
like
the best.
grow an extra arm and all that. So
they're Cenobites.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the homunculus covens.
yeah, it's quite
Or
cool.
is it
too.
covens?
Well, I call it covens, but I think some
Do you
people
put
call it
cookies in the oven? And then Dan told me to
You know,
F
when I was a
myself.
little kid, we had a Filipino nanny that lived in our home, and I had a Filipino accent for the first 4 years of my life, and I used to say "oben,"
Thanks, sugar.
that is real. So suck on that.
Last show. Woo!
Getting drunk.
Yeah.
Anywho,
So
so I'm looking forward to that. I don't think there's going to be any new releases. A lot of people are like, "Is Vect coming back?"
no, he's not.
I mean, I hope so, but I
He
doubt
won't.
it.
He won't.
Like the model
He used to be
is
in
on
a,
an old Raider.
He was a Raider. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on a Raider. I would. Oh my God. They would make some pretty happy people if they had him come back, or like they did with the Dread Knight. Like, oh, make your own conversion and have a Vect Raider. Like that would be awesome, man. I would be really happy to see that.
Yeah,
Because
I
they
think
need
that
some
would be
named characters,
fantastic.
man. If Marines get Gilliman, like, come on, that's ridiculous.
Well, Marines get Gilliman. They have like, and we're seeing Primarchs coming out for Chaos. Like we have all these big characters that exist, and I'm hoping Gazikal gets a new model.
Yeah, for sure.
But Dark Elder don't have anyone right now. They have like Lilith Hesperax, who's great. They have Drazar, which is another ancient model. Like they just don't have that one crazy person anymore now that Vect is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see him come back.
Me too.
I mean, they got a little bit of a breath of life when the whole Ynnari thing happened. Like, I started buying Wraithguard, and I bought a Wraith Knight off Fabio and converted it up and stuff.
Cool.
And, I don't know. I think I'm probably going to end up just playing Dark Eldar now. And maybe I'll take
Cool.
the Wraith Knight every once in a while, like just
Yeah,
as its
you should.
own fucking thing. But, you know.
I have a sword and board Wraith Knight. I want to make it work.
How is Sword and Board now? Because I have the
sucks.
one that
It's
has the
better to
two
kick.
guns. I
You
got
gotta
the two cannons.
River dance.
Not the flamer ones, though.
You should
just
do
cannons.
the two guns, and you should river dance. Don't never use the sword.
River dance.
It's 6 damage.
Yeah.
Producer.
Just trying to see here. I think he's on our side. Oh, that's good. Yeah, honestly, if Vect did come back as like a multi-kit or even just one kit, I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be wicked if you could buy a Vect blister and add it to a Raider. I
Yeah.
don't think they would. I don't know. I don't know if they're beyond that anymore. Like they used to sell accessories. You used to be able to buy Predator sponsons
Yeah.
in a blister. Back in the day.
You used to be able to buy bits. You could buy Swooping Hawk wings or whatever
Well,
to
the
like
original-
jazz up.
Like that
models.
old Bits catalog that Campaign Outfitters used to have was sick. That thing had everything. Like
That takes
even
it way
back,
back.
to like second.
I bought my very
first
first
edition.
miniatures at Campaign Outfitters.
Me too.
And it was the 30 Marine, the plastic Marines,
Oh,
they
the
were
ones
like beige.
Like with the gun up.
No,
like
no,
that?
they were like the beaky nose ones.
Oh yeah,
like-
yeah,
like
yeah,
those
yeah,
old
that
school
old
ones.
like second
Yeah.
edition almost,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
even
yeah.
Rogue Trader.
It was Rogue Trader. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I started in third. The first thing I got was a tactical squad box, and after I'd finished painting them, it was almost like, someone put paint on their dog's feet and then the Marines on the floor and let the dog walk on them. Like,
My first conversion was I had an orc with two boltas, and I like rolled up a little piece of paper and brown and put a red on the end and put it in his mouth so it was like a cigar.
Nice.
That was my first like kit bash conversion thing, and I was so proud of myself. It was just painted green, no highlighting, no ink, nothing. Just like I was like, oh, that looks amazing.
yeah,
Shit.
I remember showing it off to my family. I'm like, look what I just did, and it's like basically like a kid shitting in their hand and being like, check it out,
I
Mom.
still
And
show
they're like,
shit off to my wife. She's like, look what I did. She's like, that's nice, sweetie.
Yeah,
Way
I
to
know.
go.
Then mine's
Can
like,
you do the dishes
oh,
now?
your trolls look so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, go clean up the kitchen.
I dated a girl that used to call my little men dorks and geeks. You can go paint your dorks and geeks again?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Maybe.
sounds real Canadian.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dorks and
She
geeks?
called them Lugans.
Oh god.
Then we went snowshoeing.
Oh Jesus.
So we promised producer Josh that we're not going to say any F's
Oh,
tonight.
I've said like 3
no
F-bombs
no
already.
C's.
Oh yeah. The
No
C's is a big
R's.
thing, yeah.
We're not going to say any Q's.
Yeah.
We're not going to be any of those.
I won't be saying any
That's
A's.
for you, producer Josh.
No,
my final
no D's.
tribute. No D's.
No C's.
GDs.
No B's.
No pi symbols.
J. I'm just saying words. Letter. What? What? Needs more? Producer Scott's
we're
over there
filming a
making,
show over here. I don't know if
wheels
you.
with his
It is
hands.
really
He's
important
going
to
like
interrupt
this.
us, but otherwise.
Woo!
So, what do we got coming up? We got
Oh, actually, this is really exciting. So Steve has a event coming up. Is this the first of its kind?
it's the
Steve?
first of its kind.
Oh
in
my God!
Our association with Hidden City Comics, we're doing the first event is called the Rainer Rumble. I didn't pick that name. And we're gonna have 16 players. It's gonna be prep for Planes of War. So it's going to be ITC missions, 17 50-point lists. There are 16 spots. There are, at this point, 5 available. And it went up yesterday, so it's more than half sold.
One of them is reserved for me, which I'll be buying.
You better
after
go
the
buy
show.
it now, because
Yeah.
if you guys can snap them up, because you know what? Cue this guy.
Yeah, $5 for a 1750 day long, 3 games. Sounds great. I wish there was more of that, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. It's sort of like doing the RTTs, the Rogue Trader tournaments, which were common amongst independent shops.
The little ones, yeah.
Little one-day tournaments, right? This one is prep for Planes of War, and because of that, we're not requiring anything more than base coat. We'd like WYSIWYG for weapons and items, so WYSIWYG, and base coated is cool. You don't have to have them.
We have all played in tournaments before where people are told straight up, this is a WYSIWYG tournament.
Yeah.
And you get there and this guy's like, this plasma gun's actually a melt-a-gun.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
these flamers are,
I guess,
cool. And in the basement it's cool, and in the garage it's cool, but I don't want to have to remember what's on your list. I have enough trouble remembering all the rules for my army. I don't want to remember extra stuff.
Like, this isn't StarCraft. You don't get in this hobby to, like, make a building that makes guys for you and then just start it all over again on the next game. Like, you have to buy this shit. So, like, if you're going to play the game, make sure your guy has the gun that you say he has. Like, it's a piece of plastic. Might cost you $2-3 from Poland to get one shipped to you.
It's a hobby.
To get 5 of them
it's a
shipped
hobby
to
you put a lot of time into.
Yeah.
So just treat it with a bit of respect, considering how much. What's your time worth? What do you get paid at your job? What's your time worth? Your time is valuable.
Yeah.
Treat your hobby with some respect, right?
Especially one that has inherent value. Like, believe it or not, if you don't live in Winnipeg, people will pay you for the time you put into things. Like, I've been selling models on eBay, and I'm not going to say that I've been selling a ton of them, but the stuff that I have sold has been painted, and I've got a little bit extra for it. Whereas locally, people probably wouldn't have paid for the paint. So, like, it does exist out there. Someone will be appreciative of the work you put into it if you put enough into it. And so, like, why not do that at the tournament? If you're like, well, I'm just going to sell this shit later, sell it on eBay. You'll get more money for it if you painted it.
I actually want to try. I want to start doing that. I got a really good camera, and I have, like, the white board. I'm going to get the lights and put like the wax paper on it to mute the colors, and I'm going to try and sell an army or two on eBay and see what comes up.
Yeah, let me know how it goes. Like, honestly, it's really, like, people at home, it is very easy to take nice photos of your models, even with shit that you just have at home already.
Yep.
So, cell phone, usually, like, this takes 4K, even though I can't, like, register them. My computer will only look at 1080p. But get your cell phone out. Get lighting. Doesn't matter what it is. The whiter the bulb, the better, I find. You don't want to go quite like total yellow bulbs. You know what I mean? If you can get CFLs, I think, are pretty white. Anyway, keep the light blue is what I'm trying to say. And then if you set up a big sheet of paper just in a corner and you let it curve, it makes that infinite white background. And then when you take the light that you have set up with your blue bulb in it, put wax paper over it and clip it on top of the light, and that'll soften it and take off the shininess. So the reflections will dull down a bit. And I've taken great pictures at home. I actually made a light box out of an old paper box because I cut holes in the side and the top, put wax paper over it and taped it down, and then I could just rest lights on each side.
Cool.
Problem was that it was too small for a vehicle.
Oh, okay.
So you get like a single miniature.
Well, whatever. But that's a good place to start, right? So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference. When you're actually trying to sell something, the quality of the picture is huge. Like, I cannot stress this enough. No one is going to pay you $1,000 for 2,000 points, like, on some guy's dinner table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they want to know that who they're buying it from is someone they can trust to ship it properly, who takes it seriously, who spent the time painting them. They're not going to get the models and be like, oh, there's literally nothing on the back of this guy. You know what I mean? Which are most of my models, to be perfectly honest. But at the, it's it's not impossible, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We got producer Matt in here. Thank you very much. Look at those sexy hands.
He's a hand
You'd
model.
be a hand
actually.
model. Yeah, nice. Yeah. He is. Fantastic. Do you display mostly watches or rings? Jazz hands. Wow, that's a spicy answer. Well, you can see producer Matt down at all the jazz clubs in Winnipeg.
All the jazz clubs.
The jazz
all of them.
Clubs. There's
Playing piano.
Hey, I couldn't even pick one. There's so many.
So many.
I'd like to
It's
go
true.
to them all.
It's true.
So, okay, we talked a lot about my tournament. How did the expo go for you?
Fine. I had fun.
Like, what were your matches?
My
what
partner
armies
and I
did you play against
both said going in, he's got stuff going on. Personally, I have 2 kids, so the games day came up quick, and we didn't have everything kind of like set and lined up. So we're just like, you know what? Let's just bring what we have painted and not worry too much about it.
Yeah,
and
just
so
play.
we went in and didn't care if we won or lost. We just came in to play.
Yeah.
The first game we had was the Too Many Relics game, and it was really close. It came down to a few dice on the last turn.
Right.
And it was good.
How
Right?
are those guys anyway? Because I
Really
haven't
good.
actually
Really
seen
good
those guys around
No,
before.
it was their first tournament. They live near Hidden City Comics. They play in their basement against each other. They don't know
Okay,
anyone
yeah.
else in the community.
I've been there.
So
Rory and I
hopefully,
were
hopefully
doing-
they're gonna join the community and
That'd be really
get
cool.
out. Yeah, I'm
and you know
hoping.
what's neat too? It's always cool when you see new players at a tournament actually talking tactics. Like those guys would be like this. all the time.
Yeah.
And they weren't just like, oh, okay, autopilot. You know what I mean? Like
they weren't just
my first
and
tournament.
salty dogs, all bitter.
The worst,
Yeah.
actually, my first tournament was Twin Eagles, Comic-Con, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and I played with Sid. And the whole time, because Sid, I guess, I don't know, Sid's never too concerned. He's a pretty laid-back guy.
Yeah, he's laid
I'd
back,
always be like, what should I do? And he'd be like, I don't know, move your guys. And I'd be like, I don't know what to do. I'm an idiot. Like, help me. So we would just end up moving our shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically how it went. Fancy Balance says 2-dude basement meta is the best meta. I'm actually going to agree with him there. When Rory and I were the only 2 people playing in our little crew of Warhammer, which ended up expanding
You start
to
to
about 4 or 5
consistently
guys.
beat each other, right? Like it's like a
But
it's
you're
like if you
still
play
buying
chess
models
against
because
somebody.
you like the models.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
like,
for
like
sure.
you're still like, I'm gonna buy a Helldrake. You know, 'cause
There's
I
something
like
to be said
Helldrakes.
for more narrative play, right? And more.
Yeah.
You take the models you want. You play the models that you like.
As
you know,
soon as
like-
we got exposed to people like Sid and Scott, and we started learning like, oh, there are powerful units in this game.
Yeah.
We don't just have to play with 5 rhinos every time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you kind of change a bit. But
The FAQ's coming out. Speaking of
oh god,
cheesy
yeah.
meta shit, the FAQ's coming out. So I'm curious to see if they do something with NIDS, like the same way they did with Tau, where
Yeah.
it's like 1 commander per detachment. They could do that easily with
Well,
Flyrants.
with Adepticon wrapping up
Yeah.
and having the Flyrant list.
Flyrant. And they
Ooh.
did like a mirror match. The 2 Flyrant lists that fought each other, I think, was Mucilid Spores, 7 Flyrants, 3 Ripper Swarms, 4 Molochs, something like that.
Yeah.
And they had identical lists.
Ugh,
Like, so they went
that's so
against each other
gross.
with identical lists. And then it came down to like I don't know
a
how.
better general,
Well,
or-
who's better general? Who got first
Yeah.
turn? A little bit of luck of the dice, especially in a mirror match. Right?
Now I read Nick Brown's article. I
Yep.
think it was
Nick
and
Notavati?
He, no, it was Brown. Like the
Brown
blog was
Magic?
called "What Goes Around Comes Around." Anyway, he was in Adepticon. He played the Million Poxwalker cultist list.
Yeah.
And he ended up playing against a guy that had, I think it was 7 Flyrants, or maybe 5, and a Shadow Sword. Like,
Because of
holy
cheesy
God.
keyword stuff. Because you
Yeah.
can do Battle Brothers, or I'm going back to 7th Allies Matrix. So it's keywords, NIDS and Gene Stealer,
Yeah.
Cult, and then Astra Militarum all
Yeah.
share that keyword,
It's
right?
so crazy. The fact
Yeah.
that you can have an army that are like 7 giant insects and one
Yeah.
of the most advanced tanks that ever existed. Like, holy crap, that is so ridiculous. But that's Adepticon, right?
I was
Like,
listening to the Frontline Gaming podcast.
Yeah.
It's the tactics one. And Val Helfelfinger was talking about that. And he's like, the guys from Games Workshop are at those events just
Yes.
like, oh my God, like just like this, just like,
We've created
You
a
did
monster.
what with that? You did what? Like, just seeing how we break the game, right?
Still leads me
Basically.
to believe that my dad is writing the rules for this game. You know what I mean? Like, I never expected that. Like, you didn't expect that. You literally have an option where you can just take 5 HQs if you want and get a command.
Well,
point for it,
yeah.
you know?
I
like,
mean, the Supreme Command Detachment is just rife for abuse, right?
oh, it's crazy. You can take 3.
Why
you
is
take
it that there's a
4,
Supreme Command Detachment where you can take 3 HQs and get a command point for that, but there isn't one where you take 1 HQ and 1 fast attack, 1 troops, 1 heavy support,
Yeah,
1
you're
elites, right? Like, just have one that's like a mixed bag one.
I
Like,
agree.
why isn't there? Yeah, but Patrol doesn't give you a command point.
No command point for patrol. Yeah, producer Scott's saying patrol. Actually,
The
Dark
Supreme
Eldar.
Command gives you a command point. Like, it's just abusive, right? Like, why would you not do that, right?
Dark Eldar's starting to
Yeah.
see some nice bonuses
I'll
for
just
patrols.
take 3 more Flyrants. Cool,
However-
man. It's like you're asking me to do it.
Those patrols for DE with the CP rewards are kind of cool, but everyone's like, how are these going
it's
to work in a
not going
tournament?
to work for match play.
And then they ask Games Workshop. There's a screenshot of it,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
designer's like, maybe ask your TO. And I'm sitting there in my chair like,
Yeah.
you know, like, no, you make a rule.
Your
like,
TO is going to say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Pro tip.
Ugh. Oh, look, this Dark Eldar player has 8 detachments.
Yeah.
And gets like, what, 8 command points or 9 or something like that. It's just, to be fair though, and like John Plouffe and I talked about this because we both play a decent amount of Dark Eldar. The most Dark Eldar players don't have 8 HQs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have like a couple Archons maybe and like a special character, but they don't have 8 HQs.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a matter of just painting stuff up.
I don't even know if it'd be worth it. 8 Archons? Archons are okay, but they're not like the be all and end all.
Play,
you know, like,
play it. Play test it, right? Like,
Succubi are okay.
oh,
Blasters are way better now, so maybe the
excuse
Archon with Blaster wouldn't be so bad.
I like the Archon
D6
with blaster.
damage now with a
Yeah.
Blaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he
not
hits
bad.
on a 2.
Yeah.
Pop him in a Venom.
Yeah.
Got his own little private ride.
Pew, 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 pew.
That used to be my Dark Eldar build. It was always Pistol to Venoms, Ravagers, Razor Wings, and then Blasters in the Venoms if they're troops or an HQ. Just
How
try
can
not
you
to
drink
get
beer
assaulted.
so slowly? That's ridiculous.
I'm talking too much. That's the problem.
That's it.
I have a lot of things to say.
You
so
do.
here we go. What's
Talks a
this
lot.
like?
Talks a lot of. What else do we want to talk about? So we've got the LVO. No, not the LVO. The Planes of War coming up. POW. 1750 points. Should be exciting. What date is that?
What's that? Pal?
Planes of War? Yeah, that's
Pal's in May. May 26th, I think.
26th, 27th?
Yeah, day after my bro's birthday. Sorry, ITC Grand Tournament is PAL.
Oh,
Right,
yeah. It's a grand tournament. It's
So,
ITC grand tournament. So it's
ITC
worth
tournament.
ITC points.
It's 5 games over 2 days. If you guys aren't familiar with Planes of War, we call it POW. That's host Fabio's little baby. Has been since the dawn of time. So that's a great tournament to play in. Everyone brings their A game to that one. They bring awesome display boards.
Yeah.
You know, they bring their large art. Last year was 1850 because it was 7th edition. This
And
year's
it's
1750.
ITC, so it's competitive. So
Yes.
people are bringing their best.
Oh, we got
armies,
guys coming from the States and
Yep.
from other provinces. It's a big tournament.
It's good.
And quite frankly, I think it's really cool that we have the ability to play in an ITC event like that. Like a single player one where you're actually
Yeah.
like, how am I going to win this tournament?
So we're down to 1750
You know?
for that. I found with the expo. Did any of your games go past turn 3?
Ours went quickly because our turns didn't have a lot to them. So for the most part, it was like once we were deployed, Martin and I would move Nurglings onto objectives.
Right.
He would move his scouts. And then Martin's Death Company and HQs would be waiting in the wings. I'd have Nurglings on objectives and bloat drones, but I didn't take any Death Guard troops.
Yeah.
So I had a Demon Prince with wings, and I had 2 Poxbringers.
Right.
And then 3 units of Nurglings and 3 units of bloat drones. So basically the turn was bloat drones move up, flame, Nurglings move with an objective or just stay on it.
Right.
And then it'd be like, your turn. And then
Right.
they would take their turn, then our turn would come, Martin would either drop or not, and then I would do the same thing, move up and flame, pass the turn, you know, like it was pretty basic.
It was, I think, like throughout 8th edition, people are saying they're having trouble finishing games.
Yes.
And there was the initially people were saying like, "Oh, it's so fast. You're going to finish in 2.5 hours, guaranteed."
No.
Not true. Not
Not
true.
at all.
There's too many nuanced
No,
things.
we've been ranting about this for a
Yeah.
while too. Like it's all the rerolls, all the attacks. Like even
Yeah.
in the Drukhari preview today for Witch Cults, so like
Yeah.
the one that has +1 attack, they're like, that's 80 attacks in a unit, or 81
Yeah,
attacks.
it's a
and
lot
I'm
of
like,
dice.
That's a shitload of dice. You know what I mean?
So the dice rolling app, I
Yeah.
strongly recommend because that will expedite play.
Yeah.
And I think chess clocks. I think we're going to go to chess clocks. I know we discussed that a little bit, but I think really we
think
got to either drop points or go to chess
Planes
clocks.
of
One
War
or two.
will ultimately decide it, I think.
I think, yeah, Planes of War will be our final testing ground, and then we'll see what happens in the Manitoba, Winnipeg
Fancy
area.
Molasses says we need a unified tournament format for rules and scenarios from Games Workshop. I could not agree more on that. The thing that I don't like is that I in my heart, I want that, but in my head, I'm like, Games Workshop, if they left it in their hands, would probably screw it up.
Yeah, see, I
know what
totally
I mean?
disagree with that. I think that it needs to be done tournament to tournament, and you have to have your own set of rules, but clearly publish them early and say, here's what we're doing.
If they
Here's
do
what
that-
to expect. Here's the missions. Here's the mission format. Here's the level of terrain we're going to have, because Adepticon is known for having thin terrain.
Yeah.
LVO is known for having great big line of sight blocking terrain. Tell people we're going to have lots of line of sight blocking terrain. Then they're going to bring their doesn't need line of sight weapons.
GW, what they need to do is really get into bed with the people who are running the ITC and the ETC. I think is the one in England,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
So-
they are. They
Well,
are.
they're starting to. What I would do though is if I was a CEO, I'd be like, okay, tournaments are obviously popular. How can we monetize this? Well, why don't we take total control over it? We'll hire these guys, get them to keep doing what they're already doing, but under our banner. And then that way it'll be solid, but it'll all be in one place. Like
You
when
know,
I
I
played
think
in
when
Rory's
you
basement,
when people start telling you what to do, you start to chafe at the neck. You start to not appreciate being told what to do. I think Games Workshop are good by keeping it at arm's length and saying, like, you guys do that. Here's rules for match play, but we're a step distant, so they're not being directly yelled at by people who are like, oh my God, there's 9
Yeah.
plague burst crawlers in this. This is ridiculous. Like, well, hey man, if you're gonna play that way, you're gonna play that way. Your TO can put a limit on that. They can say only 3 of one unit or
Right.
whatever. Like, it's really simple to make a rule when you see that there's something like abusive, like Flyrant span.
Yeah.
Go, hey, for this tournament, 1 Flyrant per detachment.
Well,
you
and
only get 3, right?
like
that's done.
GW put the limit on the Tau commanders after they beefed them up, right?
Yep.
So there's some of that happening from GW's side.
Right.
The trouble that I have though is that when it's not all coming from the mothership, sometimes people get their wires crossed.
Sure.
Like for example, when Rory and I were playing in the basement all the time, we had no fucking clue what ITC was.
Right.
And then we started playing at Scott's
Nice
place. and
language.
we're
My
like,
daughter watched this.
so does my producer Josh. So, like, Rory and I would have had no idea. We would have shown up to a tournament and been like, woohoo! You know what I mean? Like, we'd have no idea.
And to be fair, Rory does
we
that
just
a lot.
get kicked in the teeth. Not that that's the end of the world. I mean, there's no better way to learn something than going to a tournament and going like 0-5 for the weekend, and you're just like, oh, now I get it. Like, but I think it would be nice if there was some cohesiveness on that level. Like the fact that Games Workshop's like, ask your tournament provider on that question about the detachments for Dark Eldar was really like, meh.
Well, and like that was just an offhand comment, though. Like,
Yeah.
let's see what happens when the codex drops. We haven't even seen the codex yet, which is a problem for this community. Is like something's coming up. Oh, this is going to be a problem, but we haven't even seen it yet. So let's see. Let's see
That's
what the
true.
rule
Yeah,
is.
let's
Let's
see
see
what
what
happens.
Games Workshop's final reaction is to it. Let's see what happens after the FAQ.
'Cause no one in
let's
their
play
life
the
could
army
be
20
like,
times. Right?
Let's let Dark Eldar play, 1,000 points in a 2,000-point tournament. They're 4 detachments. Mind you, you're not stuck to that. You could still take a battalion or whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. It would suck
I'm
if one
happy
of their
to. I'm
primary
happy to see
benefits
witches
was-
are going to get a +1 strength because they need it desperately.
There was some other really cool stuff. There were things like deep striking raiders.
Excellent.
There were one thing that I'm really pumped about is Reavers. So Reavers can deploy, move their full movement. I think they get an 8-inch advance, and then there's a certain. I think
They
it
can
might
charge?
be it might be one of the cults, or it might be a stratagem that lets them charge immediately.
Nice.
So you can do like a turn 1 charge.
Nice.
With a bunch of Reavers. You give them agonizers or whatever. You know, I haven't actually used Reavers
Grab
in 8th
talents.
edition. Or cluster caltrops.
Cluster caltrops. It's like, you
A
better
fancy
model that. It's
horse
underneath
rider.
my model. You don't
Yeah.
know if it's there or not. Like,
Oh, God.
Hang on, I want to see if that's WYSIWYG. I'm going to pick your model up
It's
and
like
look at it.
Tyranids.
Yeah.
What does a
Adrenal
thing
glands.
look like?
Yeah.
What does anything
What
look
are
like?
adrenal glands? Are the brains? What are the things that look like part of the male anatomy?
Like a sack?
Yeah, there's like toxin sacs.
Toxin sacks.
And they look like
Yeah.
I said I was going to put that on my Marines. Like,
Now I know why you said male anatomy.
yeah,
There are children here, folks.
that's exactly right.
Okay,
There are children
so
in this venue.
let's talk about the alphabet.
Dan's nervous because he's not allowed to be around children.
That's not true for the parents. Anywho, interesting. So, we were discussing ITC.
Yeah.
Where would you like to see the tournament scene move after all the dexes have been released? Do you want to see formations and stuff like that, or do you want to just see us play with the books that we have? Where do you think it's going to go?
I don't know, man. Like, I mean, it's such a shifting meta. Like, things are changing. They change quickly. I'd like to see less spam. Like, I'd like to just see like a flat out
Spam is a thing
spam.
still, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, like
People
rule
are just
like
finding a different way to use it.
just like, you know, you can take 3 of something. Like, and that fills out, like, if you want to do an outrider detachment, you need 3 fast attack, for example.
Yeah.
I'm going to take an HQ Space Marine. I'm going to take 3 units of scout bikes, which I plan to do, by the way. But then cap it at that, right? Like,
Yeah,
just like, I'm not going to take 6 units because I can't, right? Like, I'm not going to take 10 Plague Burst Crawlers. I'm not going to take whatever, right? Like,
Tempting.
yeah.
10 of them
Oh,
for
it is.
1,400
It's-
points.
Well,
Yeah.
and spamming is good because when you have something that's good, it exponentially gets better. Like 4 tanks are not 4 times better than 1 tank. They're like 16 times better than 1 tank because they can cover each other, right? They can do more damage and they're more difficult to take out, right? So I think that's one of the big problems. So I'd like to see spammed units addressed in some way. I really hate the Supreme Command Detachment. I think that needs to be dealt with.
I agree, yeah.
But at the same time, that's a way for them to sell expensive models, right? And we have to realize that this is a game we love, but it's also a game that generates a corporation a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they've come a long way since 7th, since they were like, their attitude towards the people that bought things from them was this, and now they've become quite embracing. They're engaged with the community. Thank you to Games Workshop. You're doing the right thing. You're doing exactly what we asked for.
BBC just had a documentary about Games Workshop that they shared on Facebook. So you can check that out if you go on the BBC page. I don't remember which one, but it is a business. So at the end of the day, you got to balance your expectations a bit. You know, like all of us are sitting here, you know, coming from this as a customer purist perspective, like, ooh, this is the way it should be. But there are a shitload of narrative players out there. You ever go on Facebook and join any of the faction groups?
Yeah.
There's like probably 60% of them are all just kind of
Our narrative players.
lore nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they love the background. I love the background. That's why when all my friends stopped playing this game and started playing Infinity, I just couldn't make it happen. It was like, you know,
Yeah.
trying to get
I love
hard
this
for a
IP.
horse.
Like I tried to do I tried to do Bolt Action, which is like a World War II
That one looks cool.
28
I'll
mil.
admit that looks cool.
And the rules are very similar to 40K. They're very, very similar. It's
I
like
heard
World War
is that
II
the
40K.
one that was written by the guys that did 2nd or 3rd edition
Yeah.
or something like that? Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, but I only have time in my life for one hobby.
Yeah.
I don't have time to play a bunch of different games. And that's Infinity is beautiful looking, and I will say, like, honestly, like, it's a gorgeous looking game. I love the models. I like the buildings. I like the background. I like a lot of stuff about it.
Yeah.
I just don't have time. If I had time, I would do it. I just don't have time. So if I got to be dedicated to one thing, it's going to be 40K.
I think a big part of 40K for me is the nostalgia that I get from it. Like, it makes me feel good because I used to love it when I was a kid. And I don't know anything about Infinity. I think that's also another reason why I stick to the same 4 armies. You know, like, my brother had Dark Eldar. I had the other 3. You know, like, he wasn't as into it as I was, but those are the 4 I remember from being a kid.
Yeah.
And I just, like, with the example, with the Necron previews, yeah, it's great to know what your opponent's playing and all that stuff. But when they were coming out, I was just kind of like, I don't know, man. You know, like I'm not as interested in this. Same thing goes for Eldar and Tau and all these other armies that I've never really dipped my toes into. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I need to start buying them and playing with them. But
there's something to be said for having one army and practicing that army. Just play that army, play it, make it work. I mean, the armies that are winning, people are saying this is the best army. Oh well, now Nids are the best army, or now Blood Angels are the best army. They're winning because the best players in the world are playing them, right? And,
I think we're also in a very interesting
if those
time for
same
that.
players would take another army, I think they would do equally as well.
Yeah.
I think that it's a matter of these people are playing on a different level, right? So
Yeah.
we're all mid-level competitors, right? Like I'm never going to make it to the top 8 of the LVO. I know that. That's fine. And I don't have the time to dedicate. I think it's possible if I was as dedicated as Matt Root or Nick Nadavati or some of these guys who made it. If I spent the time and put the investment in that they do, right? Like I also can't play guitar. Well, I don't practice playing guitar, so
that's also
I'm
true,
shitty on the guitar, right?
Well, I think what's really cool about the like the current meta and tournament scene is that even though I'll never invest in one of the armies that I'm not interested in, I love seeing the different ones that are appearing in the top of every event. So, for example, Adepticon just ended. Totally different finalists from LVO.
Yep.
Totally different.
Different terrain.
Yeah?
Yep.
Well, Adepticon was very open looking, right?
Open
we saw
terrain.
photographs of it, and there was like nothing. Like
It completely
example,
changes the game.
If you're playing a game of 8th edition and you have some ruins and some little trees and stuff, don't play on that table. There's
You need
no way to
like
hide
two
anything.
large line of sight blocking terrain, and when I'm talking line of sight block, I'm talking like take a shoebox, put it on its side.
Yeah.
You need two pieces like that could hide a knight.
Yeah.
Then you're talking. Otherwise, it just improves the game, right?
Fabio's been doing spray foam and Pringles cans.
Yeah, that's not gonna
You know what I mean? It looks like rocks and like towers and stuff. At least you can hide a dreadnought behind that.
You
know?
can,
Like,
yeah.
When I was playing an early 8th edition game with Death Guard, and I don't run them anymore, but I had a Hellbrood. And the Hellbrood just got one-shotted. Well, not one-shotted. It got two-shotted on turn 1, you know? And I was like, cool. I didn't even get a save even
it's
remotely.
target priority, man. You have to hide your vehicles, right? And if you see
because
just a little
cover's so
piece
hard
of
to
it,
get, there's like nothing you can do about it.
and it just gives you a +1. So if you nose out, then the next turn you're going to get a shot off the board, right? Like,
It's also very hard to get a vehicle into terrain and 50% obscured now.
it
Especially
is
a
if you
tank.
don't have good terrain, right? Like
Yeah.
you need to have terrain that's mindful of that.
Also, too, I think the initial release of terrain rules in 8th edition confused the shit out of people because they were like, these each have their own profile.
I think that there's a disconnect for what tanks can do, and like for example, predators. Predators have 4 shots.
Yeah.
They do a d6 damage each, which is 24 damage potential, but you're not going to hit with everything, and it's just.
And if
you
it
can only do
moves,
so
you're
much,
especially not gonna hit.
and that's a very expensive model,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're going to run predators,
It's
run
at least
3
2 bills, yeah.
and have the kill shot. Like take advantage
Have
of
a
those.
friggin' lord near it so
Yeah.
you can reroll your ones.
Exactly. You need buffs. You need to take advantage of your stratagems. And even then, I don't know, like how many people are running Land Raiders right now? Like not many, right?
I have
like,
a Chaos Land Raider that I converted the crap out of
I
for
have,
8th
I
edition.
have a Land Raider too.
I won't run
don't
it.
use it,
Yeah.
right? Like,
you know what I really want though is the Forge World Land Raider that holds 20
oh yeah,
with
yeah.
the quad las cannons on each
Yeah,
side,
yeah, yeah.
and I want to put 20 Plague Marines in it.
Yeah, you should.
That all told is like 800 or 900 points.
There you go. And you probably won't win many games, but
No.
it'll look really cool.
It'd be fun
right?
to dump those 20 Plague Marines
Yeah.
out and throw grenades with them, but aside
Yeah.
from that, like that's all. That's, you know, I also have to, as a regular human, go, how much money is that really worth to me to have that one fucking gimmick in my life? You know, like,
Yeah.
buy the tank, build it, make all the Plague Marines, like.
What's your time worth, right?
Exactly.
And then
That's the
play it
hard part
twice and
about
it
this.
loses, so you don't play it anymore.
Yeah, then you're like, yeah, I'm gonna put this on the buy sell.
I think we got to figure out a way to like have like chits or chips or whatever. Like, let's try this out. Like, oh, that didn't work. Instead of buying the models, painting them, putting them on the table, and realizing that they fucking suck.
You know what? One thing that I really, really want to get into, and I think it would be great if you got into it because you live out of town, is Vassal. It's super basic looking and it's not very intuitive, but you can play online 40k games with people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you essentially have a table that has like rudimentary looking design on it, and then each unit has its own little footprint. Like they have the footprint of that unit animated, and then you make your moves, declare your shots, and then it's almost like there's an early version of Magic the Gathering you can play online. I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically like you were agreeing to a gentleman's game where you would say, okay, I killed 3 guys, and your opponent would have to take 3 off.
Okay.
But it's an online game, so you'd only really play it with people you knew or friends.
Yeah.
But you can get it done, and that's perfect for playtesting. Logan does it all the time.
Okay.
Logan and
I'll talk to Logan.
Yeah. And actually, I really wanted to get into it. I downloaded it once, and I kind of looked at it. I didn't have anyone to help me. I just went,
this is difficult.
I don't understand.
This takes effort.
Yeah, exactly. I could have Googled instructions, I'm sure. That might be a project of mine now. Maybe Thursdays we'll just play each other.
So we're coming up on our last 5 minutes here. So we're going to go off of the 40K for a second, and we're gonna go back and think about all our memories with being told not to say swears.
Yeah.
And
like shit and ass and dick and piss.
Take it easy.
What's that?
Oh, cool. So there's going to be a video coming on the end of Josh, and Josh...
there's a video of Josh coming.
He takes some dramatic pauses that make us really reflect on how we've been on the last... Why'd you have to do it like that, Dan? Why would you be like that with your... But anyways, we love you, Josh.
Love you, Shatner.
We've enjoyed you, Shatner. We've enjoyed working on the show with you. Dan and I have both really enjoyed doing this.
We'll also be back as guest hosts, so never fear.
We will be
addicts. Back. We know how much you love Steve's attractive face and whatever I'm working with.
I'm a very good-looking man. Look at all my muscles. I'll bring them back.
Yeah, I can lick my own
very photogenic.
Tit. That's about it. Where are those kids? I could lick my own tit.
I could lick your tits too. That'd be a whole different video. Yeah. So
I don't think I have enough money.
Yeah, I guess we're going to say thanks to everyone. We want to say thanks to Scott.
Don't forget, there's events coming up. We got the Rainer Rumble.
Yeah, get into the Rainer Rumble. I'm putting that on with Scott and Fabio and the 40 Below crew. We're going to be doing that at Hidden City Comics on the 15th of April. It's my wife's birthday the day before that, so keep in mind that I'm going to be not drinking and not partying with her, so that I'm nice and sober and aware and awake for you guys the next day. We got Plains of War coming up. And also reach out to me. We're going to be trying to do something at Hidden City Comics once a month on a Sunday. We're thinking maybe an Age of Sigmar tournament. Maybe we'll do some Infinity. Maybe we'll do...
You know what I'd really like to do?
Some
Mordheim.
Mordheim.
Talk about it, but maybe something with some, like, even just simple prize support. If we did a monthly thing that had
there's
motivation.
For the April 15th, there's going to be 3 door prizes for store credit.
Nice, there you go.
Yeah.
Rainer Rumble's got prize support, baby.
Prize support, baby.
Baby.
Yep. And that's why I'm leaving the show. So with that, let's shoot over to producer Josh. We already said that, Matt. You're supposed to be producing.
God.
Maybe you should listen to what we're saying.
I'm going to lick my tit.
My God. All right, over to Josh. Yeah. We love you, baby.
Dan, can you put your foot down? Put your foot off the tape. Don't belch. Don't... Anyway, it's been a joy and a pleasure to have you both as hosts on the show. Steve, your work for parts of Season 3 and all of Season 4 has been wonderful. You've been a fantastic avuncular foil for all of the shenanigans happening here, and it would not have been the same without you, or El Polveroso. So thank you. Thank you for all that you do. And Dan, you've been here since the beginning. Since way back in October of 2016, when we were doing episodes in my apartment, and 8th edition wasn't even a glimmer in any of our eyes. I could use several different words to describe your time on the show, but this is a family program, so I won't. Instead, I'll say thank you for the memories. From the rhino necklaces to the vocal stylings of jerk bitchin', from the couches in my apartment to the ones at Reset and now the chairs at PvP, you've been a fixture on the show. And I can't deny that. Even though I might die a little bit inside every time you belch, fart, scratch yourself, interrupt somebody, mess up the sign-off, or display the corns and crevices on the bottom of your feet to the camera. gotta be like that, man. Moving on, you're both returning as regular guests and guest hosts on the show, and I cannot tell you how happy I am for that. So we'll see you both sometime soon. And until then, if you're not rolling ones, get back on camera. Cheers, guys.
See him rolling through the night, loudly screaming red and white, smashing past and blocks again.